Alright, the purpose of my activity today, as I said in the previous video, is to replace this wooden box with an enclosure that I'm going to make with this Fastech 15 extruded aluminum framing. I'm going to use this for the frame, and I've got a number of these panels, 2 foot by 2 foot panels that are going to form the top and bottom upon which all this stuff will rest. This box is filled with electronics. As you can see on this side, there's the exhaust fan. It does get quite hot in there when it's running. Let's see, on this side I put a grounding connection. So down here, this coil is grounded through a wire that goes through here, connects to there, so the whole system is grounded through an earth ground. And then on this side, let's see if you can see this side, I have 2 connections, one here for the high voltage that runs the actual sparks themselves, and this runs all the auxiliary electronics in there, the modulator, the fan, and that sort of thing. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a box with wheels on it like that. Now, let's get a tape measure. And my theory is that box needs to be about 2 feet. But this is by about 1.5 feet, which is this is 16 inches, right? So 2 feet by about 16 inches should contain all the electronics that I've got in there now. Okay, and working with this Fastech stuff has been an interesting exercise in algebra. So what I want to do is, in case, create a frame basically for these sheets of HDPE. This is a 1/4 inch sheet, and it will fit nicely in the grooves here. Okay, so it'll fit in there. I want to make a frame out of these 2 frames separated by a piece like this. That's basically 16 inches. So I have 2 frames and separated by 16 inches. That should be fine. Then I'll have to worry about what panels I use for the sides and whatnot. So here's the interesting part about Fastech. So there are a number of ways that you can connect these together. The beauty is they've got these, here's a cross section of a piece that came off. They've got these grooves in them, and they make a variety of different things that fit in there so that you can latch them together, latch devices to them. You can make linear motion pieces with it, etc. So let's see, what we got here is a piece that's roughly 1.5 inches across this way. The depth between the outer edge and that bottom is 0.54 inches. And I think those are the 2. Oh, and then the width of the opening here is 0.32, basically, opening. Now, what I want to do is create a frame that will hold, let's see if we can look at my book here, that will hold a 24 inch by 24 inch piece of HDPE. Now the problem is these 24 inch pieces of HDPE, I got them from Amazon. Bought them, I believe they come from the small parts section of Amazon. They're not 24 inches. Now maybe people know this, but I didn't. I ordered a 24 by 24 sheet of HDPE. I got a 23.5 by 23.5 sheet of HDPE. By the way, it didn't just happen once. I bought a bunch of different things. I bought some G10 from them. I bought all in an effort to put panels on this, and I bought 24 by 24, and I got 23.5 by 23.5. Okay, learned the hard way because I did all the measurements, I did some cutting, and it came out wrong. So where we end up at the end of the day is as follows. I'm going to create 2 pieces that lengthwise are actually 25.67 inches. Now that turns out to be the length of this plus if you notice, I'm gonna slide those in to the ends slide into here, and when the ends slide into here, they go in 0.54 inches. These are 1.5 inches across. This is 0.54 here. This is 0.54 here, and there's another piece. This middle part is about 0.42. So when you sum it all up, the two length-size pieces I got to make are 25.67 inches long, and then I'm going to make two pieces this way, which are 23 inches. And if you do the math, as I have in my book, and I can, if anybody's interested, I'll show it, but you just have to trust me. It's 25.67 in width to 23 inches high, and then you'll see how that all comes together. I'm going to cut big pieces of this. I'm going to cut this stuff with a Diablo blade. I actually bought the blade to cut the aluminum slides for my DRO DRO that I put on my lathe, and it works really well on this stuff. So got this on the chop saw. I need to cut two pieces that are 25.67 and two pieces that are 23. Now it turns out I've already done this once already, so I know it's going to work. Let's see if we can get a shot of this. So what I've done is I've made a frame, and in here is some Garolite. It's not G10, it might be G14. This stuff, you can't burn it. It's impervious to electricity. And so, as you see, the pieces, the ends are pretty sturdy. What I did was, let's see if we can get in there. I have tapped the end of these, so you see there's a circular opening here in the middle. Tap that for 5/16 by 18 thread screws, and I have a bunch of them. This is a flathead. Inside there you can see there's a flathead 5/16 by 18 bolt, and I've drilled out holes so to let me access that bolt. I've also drilled them on that side so that I can get in here with an Allen key and take it apart or put it together. And I'll show you in a moment what that looks like. I've loosened these up, one in there, so this should just slide. It does slide right off. Okay, so this one has two holes drilled, and that guy. So this just slides in there like that, and these are threaded into the ends. 5/16, 18 thread, socket end cap bolts. And the way that tends to work is the heads just slide into there and latch on. Now, if you were to buy some connectors directly from Fastech, they have a much more rigorous way of, it's a long plate and it has a better area of contact. This is just contacting it by the little edge there, that little shoulder. That's really not enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put some flanges on it to make it a little more sturdy, but in an effort to just hold it together, this is going to be fine in the beginning. So I'm just going to use this one as a template. This one as threaded, and it's 23 inches long. And I know if I make it the same length, it will work. I want it to be exactly the same as that. And this is one that we will do in a moment. Just make sure I got the right one. Yes. Yes, I'm not cutting something that I don't want to cut. I want to make sure I'm cutting right along exactly exactly the right piece here. And again, this is a 10-inch Diablo blade. It's called, it's 84 teeth. 84 teeth for miter saw, 10-inch Diablo for non-ferrous metals. Oh, almost forgot. What I want to do is hook up my vacuum. I get metal bits all over the place. One. Perfect. Alright, so these are the 23-inch piece ends. You can see I got some, came off with a little bit of a dinger left on it after the sawing, and that's all it took to get rid of that. Alright, so let me put a little WD-40 in here. This is aluminum. So this is a going to be a 5/16 by 18 tap. I can probably just tap it as it is. 5/16 by 18 tap takes a size F drill. As you can see, size F drill fits in there just fine. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes there's some rough ends there. Let's. This doesn't look quite that even. That's better than nothing. Put some WD-40 on there. Make sure we're going the right way. Okay. There. Let's try it out. Tight. Probably gotta chase those threads a little bit. There we go. That. Well, I should have known better torquing the tap like that. I was getting a little too brave. I broke it off in the hole, but there was enough of it to grab onto, so I can actually just get it out with a vice grip. And the thread depth is probably enough. Thread depth is probably enough where I can screw that in just fine. So the part is saved, but gotta go get another tap, which I will do. It's good to live near the hardware store. There's 2 more taps. I think part of the issue is that I didn't use enough lube and I was getting too brave. Alright, so as we see, the F drill fits in there just fine. And that's running pretty true, unlike the other one. There we go. Other one just broke off. Okay. So if I get some WD-40 in that hole, and some at the end there. Yeah, you know what? Let's get a better angle. Let's try that. There's maybe enough threads for this. Let's see. I think I want it just a little bit further. That'll do. Alright, here I'm going to cut holes in the groove so I can reach in and tighten those screws that go into the tapped holes on the risers. I just arbitrarily picked a bit. This guy is, what is this? Is a 19/64, so it's bigger than a quarter. Big enough to get the Allen key through. And this is precisely 3/4. And that's tightened down. Make sure that's standing there. Okay, so just spot that. Use a little WD-40 on that. Okay, so, alright, now I'm going to cut one 90 degrees to that. That's still indexed appropriately. Spotting it. Alright, let's see if we can get this thing together. So that's one. And there's two. But the reason I put holes at 90-degree angles in these cross pieces is so I could slide these guys on like that. So what I'll do is get my 5/16 18 thread cap screw bolts. To each of these. Alright, I got that chased out, so then we should be able to just slide that over there. And then, bottom, around here. Now, the matter sliding top on, just a simple matter. I got a better idea. Right. So that's the general idea. Now, next idea is that these wheels will slide onto there with the help of some 4x20 bolts and some connect. So what I've got here are these little guys. These travel in these rails and enable you to put they're 1/4x20. So in theory, you should be able to pop those on there like that. The first one I'll put in is over here. There we go. And they're generally easy to put on if you've got the stuff. You thread them correctly. Ah, there you go. So one there, and then two back here. Sometimes they go on simple, sometimes a little harder. Right. And so on. I'll get the rest of them on and I'll come back. Alright, now I got the wheels on, reasonably secure. I've got these gussets. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put those on the sides here using the same technique. Using these little sliders, I don't know what you call them, they go in here, and a bunch of 1/4 by 20 screws. Okay, as easy as it was to get these wheels on, that's how difficult it was to thread these gussets on correctly. I have 16 of these, one for each corner of the cube. And I'm not going to go through all of this with you guys. That would just be murder for both of us. But for now, let's just see. Let's just see how this rolls. Not bad. So this will be the new stand for the coil. I'm going to obviously have to brace the top. Maybe a thick piece of plastic. Maybe I'll switch the Garolite with the plastic and it go out on the top. But as you can see, that forms a nice platform. Now the interesting thing and the good thing about using the aluminum is that I can ground the entire base, and that'll protect the electronics inside. I don't want any arcs zipping around and hitting my electronics as they did sometimes when I had the wood. So with that, I'm going to end this video and see you next time. I'm Joe. Any questions, drop me a line.